So Barcelona is going to be facing Real Madrid tomorrow night, and it is going to be a very, very heated match, as always, because this is overall a heated rivalry. So tomorrow is going to be that big day, and Barcelona will be playing also their last Clásico of the season. And I hope that Barcelona can defeat Real Madrid, because if we can give Real Madrid their fourth loss this season, that would be amazing. I'm not counting the friendly that we had before this season started, which was in the preseason, but if Barcelona to beat Real Madrid tomorrow, it would be the fourth time they have beaten them. So we have beaten Real Madrid in the Super Cup 3-1 that led towards Barcelona winning their first title under Xavi Hernandez. We have also beaten Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey first leg 1-0 at the Santiago Bernabeu, and that's why today we have the advantage in order for us to go into the final of the Copa. And lastly, which was recently, Barcelona have beaten Real Madrid 2-1 with a goal coming from Messi and another goal coming from Sergi Roberto, and that was the game that led towards Barcelona going 12 points clear in La Liga. So Barcelona must beat this team, and the fans deserve it. Like in the past 3 to 4 years, it has been atrocious for us, and the fact that this season we have the ability to finish this season with 2 titles, it's going to be massive for these players and very important, because if we can do this, we can definitely translate this success into the next season and even improve on top of that. It will be so important, mainly because it will give the players massive confidence that they can do great things. Now, earlier today, it was reported that Xavi Hernandez has already tested out his lineup for tomorrow. It was said that during training, the starting 11 that they were playing with was Ter Stegen, Araujo as the right back, Koundé and Marcos Alonso as the center back duo, with Alejandro Balde on the left back position, and then having a 4-man midfield of Sergio Busquets, Sergi Roberto, Gavi, Kessie, and then the attackers being Rafinha and Lewandowski. So this comes by no surprise. We knew that a starting 11 like this was going to be assembled against Real Madrid. Is this bad news, I would say, for Xavi Hernandez, for the world to find out what the 11 would look like? Yes, it is, because whenever you have an opposition, knowing what your 11 will be, that will give the opposition better preparation. But in the end, it is what it is. But to be honest, it just seemed so predictable on what the 11 was going to be. Now, to be honest, could Xavi Hernandez have had another possible strong starting 11? Yes, I do think that maybe we could have gone with Ansu Fati playing as a left winger, Lewandowski as a striker, and Rafinha as the right winger, and then having our midfield being Gavi, Sergio Roberto, and Sergio Busquets. But I don't think that even Xavi Hernandez wants to stand by something like that, mainly because of point number 1, Ansu Fati does not give the necessary strong performances that is required, and point number 2, Xavi Hernandez is very obsessed with control, meaning controlling the game, and in order to do that, you need to have at the very least 4 midfielders, and he would not be willing to sacrifice a midfielder in order to bring another attacker, which is in this case and this example Ansu Fati. So hopefully later in this match, depending on how the game does go, we get to see Ansu Fati and Ferran Torres get their chances, because right now it just doesn't seem like they'll be participating heavily against Real Madrid. Now it's funny, right? Because if you really think about it, Ansu Fati does have more Clásico goals than both Rafinha and Lewandowski, and the same thing for Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres has more Clásico goals than both Rafinha and Lewandowski. So if we want to talk about who has the most Clásico experience, I would say, it is actually Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati. But on a serious note, everything does indicate that Rafinha and Lewandowski are the ones that Xavi Hernandez will be relying on. Now, moving on from there, Xavi Hernandez has also had a press conference, and he was talking about how he felt going in and what are the expectations of this game. And this is what Xavi Hernandez did say. Tomorrow's match will be difficult. We are playing against the Champions League and La Liga holders. We will try to control the ball. We are focused on the game. They will come motivated and wanting revenge. Tomorrow, the stadium must be a pressure cooker. We cannot control the rest of the things outside the pitch. And so you can see that Xavi Hernandez in a way is playing mind games with Real Madrid, right? Because he's saying, hey, look, they're the good ones. They're the ones that could win against us, because they are the ones that won the Champions League. They won La Liga. They're the champions. Don't look at us. If anything, there should be more expectations coming from this Real Madrid side than us. So I can understand why Xavi Hernandez is taking this approach. The last thing these players do need is pressure, and especially in a big game like this where the Camp Nou is going to really demand a strong performance, and especially when you see Xavi Hernandez calling for the fans to give out a very gigantic atmosphere from the fans, because it is going to be very, very necessary. So we have to show up, and we do have to step up as fans. So another thing that I have been wanting to talk about, and I have been analyzing this over the past 3 to 4 days, it is going to be about Marcos Alonso, and we are going to get a little tactical when it comes to this segment of the video, because look, if there is one thing that we have to look out for, it is going to be for Marcos Alonso, and I'm talking about him having a good game, because we are are really going to be counting on this center back if we're not going to be having Christensen in the back line. Like, I know that Xavi Hernandez is expecting for Real Madrid to really try and play through Marcos Alonso and not through Araujo or Koundé, because they know that those are two defenders that are very hard to get through, which is why they are going to most likely go through Marcos Alonso. And this club, we need to be very self-accountable and make sure that Marcos Alonso is mentally and physically prepared for the battle. Now, you know what's so funny is that if we go back into the first leg between Barcelona and Real Madrid, Alonso was actually the one that started in that back line with the exact same defensive line that we are going to be playing with tomorrow. So we saw a back line of Alonso, Koundé, Araujo, and also Alejandro Balde. In the game, we won 1-0 with an own goal from Real Madrid. But in that game, the irony is Alonso actually had a spectacular performance. I do think that he was the man of the match on that night, and even better than Koundé and Araujo. But remember, highlights of a specific player during a game is never what their true performance actually is. Like, if you take away the good from that player and what they did against that team, and you look at what they did wrong, you will be able to see exactly how the opposition can harm you again and reanalyze what those potential weaknesses are. And let's talk about that, because I know that does get a little confusing, but again, let's talk about it, because this is where Barcelona can become very vulnerable. When Marcos Alonso has the ball on the ground and he's being pressed, that is where Barcelona can become very weak, because there were many times in this game where we saw Madrid pressure Marcos Alonso and try to corner him in order for Real Madrid to gain the possession in Barcelona's own half. As we can see through these videos, you can see that every time Marcos Alonso was constantly pressed, which was mainly coming from one player, which is Madrid, he gave the ball away. And I do believe that the same thing is going to continue to happen. Madrid will be the one that will be ordered to press Marcos Alonso to force those mistakes so Real Madrid can win the ball in a very high position. And I also do want us to notice another thing. Notice where Madrid is pressing Marcos Alonso. You can see that Madrid continues to press Alonso on his right side, mainly because he wants to force Alonso to use his right foot and take away any options of Marcos Alonso shifting his position or his body to kick with his left foot, which is why you can see Madrid pressuring his right side. These little things is what's going to basically dictate whether Real Madrid could score against Barcelona, yes or no. And so we have to make sure that Barcelona can make themselves available for this center back when he is being pressed, and we have to have players around him so he can pass it to. Now look, in the air, when the ball was going to him, he was unbeatable. There's a reason why he had a good performance on that night. It's because he barely lost any aerial duels, and he was amazing on that night. There were so many times where we saw Real Madrid try to make a cross into the box, but Marcos Alonso was always there. I do expect to see maybe the same game, because we don't have our best players, which is for Barcelona to sit a little deeper than usual, absorbing the pressure of Real Madrid and defend very well. Marcos Alonso, if he is encountering a situation exactly like this, like he did in the first leg, then we could see another maybe potential masterclass coming from Alonso. So expect a lot of crosses coming from Real Madrid. And so now lastly, I just want to quickly end it with this. There are some small updates regarding Messi's future, and it does say here, and it is confirmed by many sources from Spain, from also France, from Argentina, from everywhere, that Messi will be leaving PSG. He is not interested in renewing with this club, and he wants to move to FC Barcelona. It is basically done. Messi does not want to have a future in Paris. And it has also been said that Barcelona have also begun working on the return of Messi officially now, and they're looking into all sorts of ways on trying to bring and pay for this player. Like, for example, handing Messi a percentage of income related to sponsors, also an interest on tickets sold, jersey sales, etc. Messi and his family all want a return. So it's basically like Joan Laporta and Mateo Lamont trying to assess, okay, do we give like 5% of the sponsor money to Messi so we can afford him and pay his wages? Or do we also want to give maybe 5% to 10% of the ticket sales to Lionel Messi and also jersey sales to afford his wages? How are we going to do it? So they're assessing things like that. I think that once they have that figured out and they know exactly what the formula is to pay for Messi's wages and how they're going to be affording him overall, then they will give the offer to Messi, and Messi, of course, will immediately accept and return back to FC Barcelona. So that is going to be the latest regarding Messi, and that is going to be the pre-match preview between Barcelona and Real Madrid. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.